a signal to the world. We are open for business. We are now open for business. This is 𝗗𝗶𝗴𝗏𝗧𝗩 bringing you yet another episode to guide you in discovering your passion and growing your business as we learn from experts in the field. Sama-sama tayong matuto sa isa na namang makabuluhang usapan tungo sa pagpapaunlad ng inyong negosyo. Ang Open for Business ay mapapanood nyo rin sa Facebook at YouTube. Siguraduhin mag-like at mag-subscribe sa aming social media page at Net25TV. Alamin natin, suriin mula sa mga negosyante, thought leaders at mga personalidad sa iba't ibang larangan ang mga strategies, trends at mahalagang karanasan sa pagninegosyo dahil tayo ay open for business. How do you lead a multi-generational team while marketing to Gen Zs, Millennials, and Gen Xers all at once?
Because of the fast evolution of technology, nag-iiba na the way people live per actual year. Nag-iiba na yung culture. That's why we had to address it because as a marketer, we have to understand what will give actual value, yung talagang magpe-penetrate in that specific target market. You now have to have a backup plan. And this is where a multifaceted entrepreneur thrives.
I'm 𝗗𝗶𝗴𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗩 bringing you business news and information here on Open for Business. BOP hits a deficit of $167 million in July. Now the country's balance of payments slid to a deficit of $167 million in July this year, a reversal from the $62 million surplus posted in July 2024. According to the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, which released the data, the deficit reflected the national government's drawdowns on foreign currency deposits to service external debt obligations. The year-to-date BOP level, or transactions of the country with the rest of the world, is now a deficit of $5.8 billion. Now in other business news, Tesla offers skills framework for electronic semiconductor industries. The Technical Education Skills Development Authority launched the Philippine Skills Framework, also known as PSF, and is expected to boost the semiconductor and electronics industries. The PSF is in partnership with the industry TVET, also known as Technical and Vocational Education and Training Board for Semiconductor and Electronics, and its convener, the Semiconductor and Electronics Industries in the Philippines Foundations Incorporated. The framework equips local talents with competencies needed to accelerate skills in the highly competitive semiconductor sector, considered to be one of the country's top export contributors. The PSF aligns workforce development strategies with global industry standards and provides a comprehensive reference for job roles, skills requirements, and industry-aligned training programs, according to TESDA. Japan's exports dropped most in 4 years. Japan posted its lowest exports in more than 4 years in July, affected by the tariffs imposed by United States President Donald Trump, according to official data from its Ministry of Finance. Exports plunged to 2.6% in July year-on-year, which included a 10.1% fall in exports to the United States. And that's the Business Roundup for this week. I'm 𝗗𝗶𝗴𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗩 for Open for Business.
On your way to success? Start with the best. New Era University, where we guide every individual to their natural state of excellence. Enroll now, because New Era University awaits the future we can build together.
In In today's business landscape, leaders aren't just managing teams. They're navigating a multi-generational workforce, adapting to shifting workplace cultures, and mastering marketing strategies that appeal across age groups. Our guest, Sy Bryan Lato, is no stranger to these challenges. As the third youngest president of the Philippine Marketing Association, a certified professional marketer in Asia, vice president for marketing, sales, and strategy for SMSI, and a dynamic entrepreneur across industries from manpower services to creative solutions, Bryan brings a wealth of insight on leadership, marketing, and the rise of a multifaceted entrepreneur. Today, we dive into how generational differences can become one of your business's greatest strengths. How are you, Bryan? That was a mouthful. You are very accomplished at a young age. Ano ka ba? Millennial ka ba o Gen Z ka?
Millennial naman tayo. And first of all, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Cesar, for having me here. It's a privilege, and I really am excited to share more insights about this topic. No, sometimes it's a taboo to discuss these topics, or we are not really addressing in terms of the multi-generational differences.
Before we start, we know that the Philippines remains to be young. A large share of the population is in the working age and youth brackets. At di ba ito yung ibinibida natin? This is what is boasted by our economic team, especially when they go to different places, when they go to investment areas. We always say that the Philippines has a young labor force.
Yeah, actually, compared to our neighboring markets, like for example, the old economy, like Japan, whose most of the generation are old, and then you've seen for the first time China's population, there's a decline in their population. So Philippines, being a young population, has a lot of potential. Most of our young talents right now are being outsourced globally in terms of virtual assistants, anything that involves tech-driven businesses. So mga VAs, animations. So you would see famous brands like Disney and games like Garena. They would outsource their talents here in the Philippines. And that's an advantage for us because we have a lot of room to grow, and we are fast adapting in terms of the new trends and technology that is really rising in terms of the global economy, in the global scale.
In your view, Bryan, why is this when you compare it with the neighboring countries? Is it because of our culture, economic policies? Di ba ganyan, like say, siyempre sa China, doon,
the one-child policy.
May one-child policy sila doon.
Definitely, relatively, because we're family-first culture, our values matter more, and then we're more of a happy people, no? Rather than Japan's more career-driven, more of work, walang work-life balance, and China's one-child policy really hit them. So, kumbaga, yun yung nangyari in terms of this topic. Kaya tayo parang okay.
Wow, okay. In the past, during my time, di ba, parang there's only the young and the old, parang ganyan. But now, it's segmentized, in a way that we have to deal with each segment differently. Like, for example, they have their own psychology and social behavior. Later on, let's talk about their spending habits and payment behavior, and also leadership styles and workplace behavior. So, pa-iba-iba. Did the industry somehow felt that need to shift to this? Do you remember, was it pre-pandemic or post-pandemic, where marketers like you started to look at market segmentation differently or dealing with various themes differently?
I think it started with the fast advent of technology and the way of living of each generations. Okay. That's why it has to be clustered na. Before, there's just the old and the young, diba? Kaya lang, because of the fast evolution of technology, nag-iiba na the way people live per actual year, nag-iiba na yung culture, the way things are being done. So that's why we had to address it, because as a marketer, we have to understand what will give actual value and what will be yung talagang magpe-penetrate in that specific target market. As a marketer, we will try to impose our own values, we will try to impose how we do things. Hindi siya kakagatin. Because the way each generation lives is different. Yung ating mga Gen X, they lived in the hindi naman post-war. Medyo malayo-layo naman na sa
Boomers
post-war.
naman na yun.
Boomers naman yun.
Oo, boomers
Malayo-layo
na yun.
naman na sa post-war. So medyo wala pa masyadong technology, face-to-face, mas more of the physical interaction, mas legitimate pag nakikita ko, eye-to-eye, nakikita ko yung emotion mo, telegrama, snail mail, diba? Telepono, pager, yan eh. Kumbaga, marerelate mo rin kasi siya with the present technology. Isipin mo kung during that time you already have the iPhone and the internet, it would have been a different scenario. Kaya I could say that I can really relate the generation's habits and way of living with the existing technology present during that time. And when the millennials naman came in, andyan na yung mga dial-up na internet, di ba, na card. So medyo may konting boom na siya, may Yahoo Messenger na, internet is being slowly introduced, pero nabuhay rin sila nung time ng the Gen Y is living. So kumbaga, they know how to live yung simple, maglaro lang sa bukid or sa kalsada ng tumbang preso and all that stuff. And they also went through the time naman that the internet is introduced. Pagdating naman sa Gen Z, pagkabuhay nila, siguro nasa sinapupunan pa lang sila ng magulang nila, meron ng internet, may cellphone na.
Na-invento yung digital native.
Yes.
Basically, you're born with mobile phones already.
Yes, with technology present and fastly evolving. Diba? Mas kakaiba pa tong beta. No? Pinag-uusapan natin ngayon hanggang Gen Z lang, pero they're saying some different things in beta. That's why nagkaroon ng further classifications. Kasi hindi ka na magkoconnect eh. In the right market, if you will not address them properly, yung kanilang way of living. So you really have to address it. And we have 3 generations in terms of the workforce right now. Medyo magulo, and millennials are being a little bit grumpy. Parang sinasabi nila na parang, oh, nung araw, ikaw yung Gen Z. Hindi ka naiintindihan. Ngayon, ikaw naman yung parang nagsasabi na, oh, back to you. Hindi mo naman naiintindihan ang Gen Z. That's why we have to discuss this and we have to talk about it and try to understand each other's differences.
To summarize it, it's basically technology that defined or that started this clustering, this segment or target market classifications, di ba? Kasi in marketing, talagang may ways tayo to segmentize the market. Basically, that used to be demographics lang, psychographic. But now, di ba, parang medyo because of social media and technology, as you said, Gen Zs were the ones born between 1997 and 2012. So that means they're 13 to 28 years old. And millennials are the ones born between 1981 and 1996, meaning they're 29 to 44 years old. Where you belong.
Yes.
Diba? You're how old now?
33.
Okay, so sobrang batang millennial. Gen X, where I belong, were born between 1965 and 1980, meaning they're 45 to 60 years old. And for our parents, the baby boomers, they're born between 1946 to 1964, meaning they're 61 to 79 years old. Ngayon, going back to these different dimensions, let's start first with multifaceted entrepreneurship. You've worn many hats, from marketing to manpower services to creative solutions. So, in your case, kasi lagi nating sinasabi ngayon, dapat ikaw, para maging successful ka na entrepreneur, multifaceted entrepreneur ka ba? In today's context, how do you define a multi or multifaceted entrepreneur? What advantages and challenges come with diversifying ventures as a multifaceted entrepreneur?
A multifaceted entrepreneur is the one who actually maximizes his own ecosystem, business ecosystem. The businesses that he would venture could be related or not totally related. Just one example, in my case, having a marketing and events agency affects all my other businesses because marketing and social media would have to be used in our manpower, in our mall, in our resort. So having one is okay and it affects all the ecosystem. Another example naman is that we built somehow far from our diversification, somehow far from what you're existingly doing. It's because of the risk of a possible industry na mag-down, no? Like for example, during the COVID pandemic, we had to do some business continuity plans and some laws and regulations. As a manpower agency, we have to think of other businesses. Kaya naalbuo naman yung resort. We have, kasi parang during that time, we see that people would like to go out, really want to go out, spend time with the family.
After the pandemic.
After the pandemic, di ba? Kaya pero during that time, halos lahat yata ng tao nagkaroon ng private resort and all that. That's diversification. We have to ensure that, you know, we still live and, you know, other businesses can contribute naman to the cash flow of the other business. So, that's why it only makes sense as a growth strategy to diversify, not only within your business, but also in terms of having other businesses that's either within the ecosystem or can be really a full diversification. Kasi pagka within the ecosystem naman, it will support each other. Like for example, you're in retail, it makes sense if you would have a warehouse, if you would have a logistics, if you would have a customs brokerage, because you're in retail, you're in distribution. And then probably you would open another, aside from retail, you open distribution channels, you'd open service centers. So that's how I define a multifaceted entrepreneur. It's either you support your existing businesses for it to thrive better, so you'd have higher margins, or you would totally open a different business in terms of diversification to support each other when one industry is down. Advantages, it's because within the ecosystem yung business, you would have higher margins. Instead of outsourcing it from another business, one pocket from another pocket. I mean, you would see naman our business tycoons, diba? The likes of the Sys, the 𝗵𝗎𝗄𝗏s, they would do multifaceted businesses that supports within their ecosystem. They started with hardware, and then they built their build and sell na bahay until they built the houses. And now it makes sense, the land banking sila, but from the longest time, ang ginawa nila, they preserve the front lots. Although they're not yet venturing into commercial, they've thought of it in a long time, in able to increase the value of the land, they would have to place this commercial establishment. Then come 2016, the rise of their malls, the rebranded malls. So you would see now that all of their malls popped out and they came up with a big hardware store because it would support their growth. The hardware would supply to the malls, the hardware would supply with the houses, the building, and then furnishing, their customers would buy. So it's within the ecosystem, and then they would have, the mall naman would need some retail. So they entered into retail space, they entered into coffee. So you see how these tycoons would think, and I believe this is one practice that as entrepreneurs would be helpful, no, to address also and to increase margins kahit papaano.
So the good thing is, it's nice that you mentioned these practices of tycoons because these are basically models of small businesses, diba? And especially, you know, during times of crisis, you have to be prepared for any eventualities. And I think siguro naman, even if there's going to be another pandemic, people are prepared already.
Yeah,
we know what to do.
Diyan na uso yung business continuity plan. I mean, for the longest time, people haven't been looking at their business continuity plans. Ngayon, it's very important for you to have a business continuity plan. What will you do if another pandemic, siyempre ayaw naman na natin, but as a business, how will you continue to survive if there's an eventuality na magkaroon ulit ng another pandemic, pumutok ang bulkan, magkaroon ng earthquake? You now have to have a backup plan, and this is where a multifaceted entrepreneur thrives. Kasi nga, may mangyari man dyan, I have all others. May mangyari man dito, the other businesses can support. So, yun yung advantage niya. Disadvantage naman, focus. Sinasabihan nyo kami palagi yung mga millennial, guys, wala kayong focus. Ito lang yung konting disadvantage niya. If you do not have the right people in your businesses, in your various businesses to run it, and you are the ones running it, wala namang focus. parang masyadong all over the place. Masyado namang, kumbaga, ang attention is divided. And then, of course, resources. If one business would not be performing, it might other businesses. So, it's like a double-edged sword din naman. So, to prevent that from happening, you need to hire the right people, you need to, kumbaga, establish the systems in place so that hindi naman mag-suffer yung other businesses.
Based on some research, millennials daw are now taking the lead, taking leadership positions in many industries. How is millennial leadership different from previous generations? Kasi millennial ka, sama mo na rin tong sabihin kung totoo o hindi. Huwag pong magagalit ang viewers po sa akin ha. Pero ito daw, millennials daw are indecisive, praise-hungry, too sensitive.
I mean, not for all millennials, wag rin po kayo magagalit. We're not trying to generalize everybody here. This is just according to the study. But probably that was the early phase of the millennials.
Okay.
Millennials now have matured. And you can see naman, their age naman is 30 plus above na, diba? 29 and above. And most of them are now taking the helms, like the helms of the Ayalas. You would see that the millennials are now taking the lead in introducing a different, a fresh perspective, no? Siguro millennials, they've matured in the years of working and now they're the ones taking the lead. They now understand their predecessors' dilemma. Kaya nga may opening statement, diba, millennials are now a little bit becoming more grumpy because the weight in their shoulders are now
it's with them already.
It's with them, right? So ano naman yung bagong na-introduce ng millennials versus the predecessors? Well, again, the advent of technology is present. The integration of a hybrid work arrangement is now being introduced. Aside from the COVID pandemic, kung hindi pa magkakaroon ng COVID pandemic, gusto nila hierarchy ang organization. May top, may bottom, ganyan. Ang communication dapat...
Ang millennial to?
Hindi, kayo. Gusto nyo, may Gen X pala, sorry. May hierarchy, no? Kailangan may chain of command, hindi ka pwedeng dumiretso sa akin. Kailangan dadaan ka sa, sa supervisors mo, etc. Ang difference ng millennial ngayon, they want a straight approach.
Parang it's like a flat
It's a flat organization.
You can go direct immediately to the boss.
Yes, you can go directly, you can say your thoughts. The Gen Zs are enjoying this thanks to the millennials way. Because, probably in the course of their workforce, ako personally, na-experience ko to, yung mga politika ng mga bosses and all those stuff. So parang millennials would like to have a different take naman on this one. That's why most of the organizations now are flat organization where people can collaborate with each other.
Okay, tama,
so
tama.
yan yung parang fresh perspective. And then now with the existence of AI, we are really now integrating AI in terms of hindi na lang AI, data. With the persistence and we give more importance to data in doing our decisions. I'm not saying that the previous generation is not valuing data, but data is not that present. Kumbaga medyo limited yung data gathering, etc. Ngayon talagang may importance, may course na nga, di ba? May data scientist na tayo na mga tinatawag. So, we base our decision now more on existing data and real-time data because of the existing technology. I'm not saying...
Which can generate data immediately.
Yes, we can generate data immediately and they could really decide faster because the existing data is there and there are even AI tools and other tools that can really help them assess and do an evaluation. Yesterday, I was meeting with an AI Malaysian technology and they're bringing it here. They bring in all these AI tools together in one platform. You upload your company information and then it will generate reports. Wow. That would help you decide, kailangan ba natin magbawas ng tao, anong efficiency ng tao natin, ano ang income contribution ng ganito and all. And millennials are more open to that. As compared to our predecessors who's a little bit the traditional way pa rin, ganyan. Even in our company, kasi ngayon I'm taking my master's in AIM, So, kumbaga sinasabi nila, digitization is not an innovation anymore. It's a must.
It's a must.
It's a must.
No longer luxury, sabi
yes,
nga
it's no
nila.
longer luxury. It's a must. You have to
basic
integrate
na.
it. Basic na siya. Because we're talking about blue ocean strategy and all that stuff. And innovation, digitization of systems and process is no longer part of innovation. And this is where millennials come in. Trying to put application systems into place, whereas the predecessor would like to do it more traditional, brick and mortar way. Kasi nga, they were successful during that time. But because of the presence of Gen Zs, kumbaga, who's expecting that the workplace is this setup hybrid, kailangan technology-driven, kailangan decision-making is based on facts. So, millennials naman had to prepare that and work on that. And efficiencies and putting systems in place makes really things faster. Mabilis mag-adapt ang millennials given nga na ano siya sa dalawa. I mean, kaming mga millennials, we always respect and look back in terms of the experience and the maturity of the Gen X.
This portion is... Morning is a news story with Kada Umaga.
Your favorite morning show, ito po ang Kada Umaga!
Surprise performances, latest trends, expert hacks, and exciting games. Be ready to be part of the Kada Squad and enjoy your morning with Diana, Emma, and Pia. Kada Umaga, Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 noon, only on Net25.
Let's net together. Sa Net25. Sa Net25.
Yung Gen Zs naman daw, okay, at least ikaw, malapit ka sa kanila dahil millennial ka eh. They are misunderstood as, okay, entitled. Napapansin ko rin yan. Sorry, soft, always on their phone. O, paano yan? So how do you, can you validate this observation?
Okay. Again, yan, sinabi mo na misunderstood as, ha? Hindi. Because, again, nabuhay sila, nandyan na yung technology.
Tama.
So, they're dependent on whatever present technology is. And we have millennials to blame for that also because convenient for millennials, yung mga anak, ito cellphone, ito tablet. I mean, I'm not generalizing, again, I'm not saying everyone, but most millennials would let their Gen Zs do their dahil nga may technology and tablet na, so naging dependent na sila and all. But in fact, dahil nga yung way of living is mabilis na. Imagine mo yung mga 30-second reels, and all this fast-paced information na which is easy for them to access.
That's
kaya
right.
parang yun yung kasanayan nila eh. Yun yung way of life nila. So that's why kaya feeling natin entitled sila. Ano ba yan? Hindi man lang mag-research ng maayos. Andiyan na nga ganyan. Kasi nga they're used to accessing all this information and through the fast delivery of technology.
So and
kaya
they're used to this in short clips like reels nga.
yes,
Which is
correct. Kumbaga nasa progress growth na tayo. Nasa phase tayo. Our country is in a growth phase. So, ang focus nila is more on purpose, DEIs, SDGs. How can I give value to the world? And then, in terms of consuming information, ang Gen X ay sa Facebook, TV, newspaper, and all the traditional. Millennials naman ay nasa Instagram, nasa Facebook pa rin naman, and YouTube, although nasa YouTube din man kayo. Pagdating naman sa Gen Z, TikTok, kasi mabilis, fast-paced, tapos Reels. No? So, kumbaga, hindi natin sila pwedeng sobrang i-blame. In a way, we can also blame the adults in terms of the way. And of course, the advent of technology, they're utilizing and they're used to it. So, purpose-driven sila. And then, they expect when they come into the workforce, ayaw nila masyado yung mga traditional stuff, no? Mas hindi nagko-connect ang Gen Z at ang Gen X. Kasi nga, hindi na naranasan ng Gen Zs yung traditional stuff and they do not give value to tradition super kasi nga, quick, fast-paced sila.
How have workplace dynamics shifted in the last few years, especially in the Philippine business setting? And what role does adaptability play in leading multi-generational teams?
In a way, thanks to the pandemic, we've realized na pwede pala ang Zoom meetings. Pwede pala ang online meetings. Nakatulong pa tayo sa traffic in the Philippines. Na we are not contributing. Kaya lang, medyo uncomfortable ang Gen X pagdating sa online talaga. I mean, they would really, again, it's because of how life is before. Gusto nila face-to-face, nakita yung emotion, and they feel that there is no point of collaboration. Pagka wala kayo sa office, kailangan 100% nasa office. Ang changes naman na ini-implement ng millennials ngayon is that meron na tayong mga systems na in-integrate. May mga Slack, may mga productivity and collaborative tools. Diba? To address naman the dilemma, huwag po kayo mag-alala. Meron po kami mga tools na in-apply to monitor our teams, no? And nag-change na talaga kasi may mga setup talaga na hybrid. May mga napapasok lang ng 2 araw sa opisina, 3 araw work from home, or most of the meetings online. Meron naman yung talagang work from home, yung mga VAs, and this gave the Philippine an opportunity to hire talents naman also abroad. Like, you would get a consultant from Europe and whatsoever because nga the work setup is like that, so they can get employees around the world. Same naman din the Philippines. That's why the rise of VAs, virtual assistants, and all this new gig economy setup, like yung mga e-commerce platform that leverages naman on technology and working from home. So, kumbaga, nag-iba na talaga yung dynamics in terms of workplace. And ang hindi na-appreciate ng minsan is that yung cost. Imagine mo, wala kang empleyado sa opisina pero nagtatrabaho sila, di ba? So, the cost in utilities, the cost in extra pa pizza or whatsoever, di ba? So, kumbaga meron naman siyang in a way na balik, no? And at the same time...
So, lower OPEX.
Yes, lower OPEX, and your employees are more refreshed. Kasi, di ba?
Parang may freedom, parang ganyan.
Yes, in a way, may freedom. As long as they deliver, that is the disclaimer. If you deliver in this setup and you feel more productive, if you finish your work within 7 hours, kahit na 8 hours yung work, tapos less the travel time, less stress, more productive yung mga employees. So, kumbaga, ito yung parang changes also in terms of employee engagement and then employee listening, or in the case of consumer listening, yung feedback parang medyo importante sa atin yung feedback. And then if there are crucial meetings naman, we would allow, we would ask our employees to report to the office, do town hall meetings, o di kaya online. And then yun nga, di ba, dahil nga linear yung organization, less the red tape, less the bureaucracy, I call it bureaucracy, di ba? Kasi nga, mas mabilis na yung feedback, mas mabilis na yung response because they can direct it sa mga departments that they need to talk to. So, kumbaga, kung before, purely 100% office, ngayon, we have explored several.
You've been exposed to the enterprise. You've seen the big brands work as well. Of course, the ones owned by the conglomerates. Are they adjusting as well? Kasi siyempre, when we talk of the tycoons, di ba, technically, they're very traditional because the systems, the work processes are in place, have been tested for many generations. And the results reflect in their annual reports. And the reason why they can diversify is that they have established key businesses in different industries. That's why they go or diversify in other businesses. Have you observed that they are also adjusting, to these characteristics of the millennials and the Gen Zs?
Definitely. Most millennials now are the one taking the helm.
Okay.
And with their previous experiences as part of the improvement and kumbaga parang plataforma ko to change. Diba? So they have to adjust. Kasi otherwise, if they will not adjust, Gen Zs will not come to their workplace. I think there's a research that in terms of yung mga sakit ng ulo ng HRs, yung priority ng Gen Z, is it hybrid setup? Is it work from home setup? Is there like a gym facility? Is there a mental health?
Yun, isa pa yun.
Is there a mental health clinic or something like that? A leave. The mental health break, no, is very, very important in terms of the Gen Z. So, walang choice yung mga big companies but also to adapt to these new changes because in the end of the day, they have two customers. Their internal customers are their employees. And if they do not adjust to it, hindi maglalas yung mga employees, they will shift. And I notice most of the companies, they change their office setup from the traditional boxy ones to the open space. Akala mo nasa malaking co-working ka. One example is the primary group of companies. If you go to their office, it's a big collaborative office, creative space for work. And I've seen other big companies also doing the same. Definitely, they are adopting. Kasi
parang gone were the days of the cubicles na ikaw lang. Unless you are a call center kasi somehow you need your own space.
Pero kung sabihin mo na yung mga traditional big tycoons companies, you have to visit their offices. You would be surprised on the shift and how they make it more collaborative. And then a big example, of course, the Apple office. You would notice how collaborative it is. If you would visit the Microsoft office here, the Western style of offices are now slowly being, not really slowly, quickly adopted in office workspaces. Even in our office, I'm on the process of really converting it into a more collaborative open space because, you know, that's how faster things are done.
Now, Brian, let's go to one of your expertise, which is marketing across generations. You mentioned exploring marketing for different generations. As a matter of fact, that's what you do. You're very active at the Philippine Marketing Association. As a matter of fact, you are, one of the youngest or the third youngest president of PMA. What are the key differences in spending habits naman? The purchasing power or the purchasing habits or the behavior of Gen Z, Millennials, Gen X, and Baby Boomers as consumers?
Alright, so Baby Boomers and Gen X, brick and mortar. Gusto ko nahawakan ko. Gusto ko mapupuntahan ko siya, no? I do not trust if it's online, no? So, according to the recent study, if I'm not mistaken, around mga 65%, medyo bumababa na Kasi dati 75% brick and mortar retail Ngayon medyo kumakain na si online shopping, Medyo natututo na kasi yung ating, natututo na how to click and all that stuff, no? So, kaya medyo kumakain na in terms of retail. Pagdating naman sa millennial, ang gusto nila is hybrid. Kasi and then Gen Zs, na yan, shoppable na yan, TikTok shop na yan. Like,
online na talaga.
Entertainment. Kailangan entertainment factor and Gen Z. Na-entertain ako, di ba? Less of the value, more of the entertainment. Tapos easy and accessible, di ba? So, kaya nauso yung TikTok shop. Diba? When you see a content, kasi ngayon ang pag-market, Gen X at Boomers would be credibility, features, and I would say extended to Millennials. Ganyan ang pinapahalagahan natin. Yung features niya, ipapakita mo sa akin, kailangan ma-entertain ako. Kailangan nakuha mo yung attention ko, no? So yun yung major difference ng in terms of buying attitude ng mga medyo older generations to the ang millennial medyo hybrid yan. Okay na entertain ako but I would have to validate also if credible ba yung brand and all that stuff. Pero under convenience na rin, no? Pero in terms naman of how you talk to them, how you speak to them, kanina na mention ko kung ano yung mga platforms kung nasan yung each generation. You have to talk to them in their respective platforms. Dati pag sinatin dyaryo, di ba? Pag sinatin natin billboard, okay. Ang variation lang natin, TV channel, di ba? Channel, di ba? Ngayon sa social media may ganyan din. Kailangan tingnan mo rin kung nasaan yung target market mo. If your target market are entrepreneurs or CEOs or punta ka ng LinkedIn or pwede pa konti Facebook siguro. Pag ikaw naman ay
Tsaka iba yung language.
Iba yung language, professional. Kung gusto mo magyabang ng accomplishments mo or
Facebook yun.
mga studies, ganyan, Facebook yan. Pagka millennial naman ang gusto mong i-target at may produkto ka, Instagram. Post ka ng pictures, okay, may coding reels, etc. and all. Or di kaya mga legit mga websites and all, they would go there. Pagdating sa Gen Zs, TikTok talaga. Dominated ng Gen Zs ang TikTok. I, for myself, isa lang siguro yung laman ng TikTok ko. Hindi nahihirapan pa akong maka-adjust sa TikTok, no? Kasi sa atin, picture, ang dali lang Instagram, Facebook. Pero sa TikTok, may mga editing na yan ng videos. Diba? Medyo,
ang dali lang sa kanila.
Oo, adapted Pagkagising, nung pinanganak sila, alam na nila yung technology, kinakalkal na nila yan, all that stuff. So, kaya native sila pagdating sa TikTok feeds. No, may tinatawag pa na FYP. Yan yung para kung ano yung uma-appear sa'yo based on the algorithm. Gumagamit na kasi ngayon yung mga social media ng algorithm in terms of ano yung mga pinapanood mo, data comes into play. The social media platforms integrates data, ano yung mga pinapanood mo, ano yung hilig mo, ano yung mga pinupuntahan mo, ano yung mga kinakainan mo, yun yung ilalabas yung ad sa'yo.
And that is what, again, technology is providing and probably artificial intelligence.
Yeah. Whatever you previously buy, doon sila nanggagaling.
So they get that data and put it in their algorithm or system and then offer you more. Ganon.
Precisely.
Wala bang
Data privacy ba?
Wala bang violations?
You agreed You check the terms and conditions of the You have to don't use their platform.
Since you clicked it, you agreed to that. Diba?
You agreed to the terms and conditions and ito na nga yung sinasabi
nila. So you are
nila,
allowing them to use
the data. And nothing's free. Yun yung sinasabi nila. They say that these social media platforms are free. For what? In exchange of your information, in exchange of the algorithm, in exchange of more comprehensive understanding of the target market. And this is their business model. Sa communication, ang gusto ng mga Gen X would be face-to-face. Yan ang gusto
Gen X
naman.
yan.
Gen X yan. Sa amin naman, Teams. Pwede na kami sa Teams, etc. and all. Pagdating naman sa Gen Z, medyo mga 3-letter words, mga 1-letter word, icons, emoticons, and they have these terms. It's
emojis.
It's giving, may mga ganyan silang terminology na ano yung it's giving? Okay, pasok ka, okay ka, it's giving, ganun pala yun. So marami silang mga terminologies yung sa atin nung araw naman, which is na-adapt namin mga millennials, sa inyo naman, babaliktarin lang yung work, taralets, diba, mga ganyan and all that stuff. Ito meron talagang mga words, either it came from games, or it came from some terminologies na talagang yun yung ginagamit nila in terms of communicating.
So parang they have developed their own community and they develop their own language.
Kasi they use it whenever they play games, tapos kausap nila yung kanilang kalaro o online via Twitch or via other platforms. So ganun sila nag-uusap. So na-adapt nila sa generation.
Yeah, kung ang sinasabi natin dati, content is king, ngayon is entertainment is king. Especially when you deal with Gen Zs. Now, we just have a few questions, but since you mentioned about messaging, how can brands craft messages that resonate with all these generations without losing authenticity?
I was looking at a Harvard Business Review article last night. They were talking about a growth strategy and trying to address all markets. There is a potential for you to lose one if you address another market. Like for example, there's a chain in the US, I just forgot the brand, upscale merchandise to more of a discount, trying to address the younger generations and all that stuff. Nawala yung mga high-end market nila. And then there's another case study, it's a theme park. What they did naman, they removed naman all the discounts and kasi ano nangyayari, they're losing money because ang daming tao hindi nag-i-enjoy sa theme park tapos hindi bumibili ng mga high-priced drinks, poppers and all that stuff. So their strategy was to address a specific target market which is high-paying. Tinanggal naman nila lahat ng discounts and ang nangyari, nag-boom. Kahit konti yung tao, nag-boom. Because why? These are families who enjoy going to the theme park buying stuff inside the theme parks, kahit konti sila, and mas mabilis yung pasok ng rides. No? So there are times that you really cannot address all the market.
Okay,
No?
correct.
But there
So
is...
it's a business decision to choose talaga.
Yes, but there is another way naman for you to do it is yung in terms of brand segmentation, or you have particular SKU that would address a particular market without going away from your brand.
Core
Like
market.
For example, shoes, no? This brand has a line for sports, they have a line for lifestyle, they have a line for casual daily wear fashion. So that's one way to do it.
So you create a sub-brand na lang.
Yes, you create a sub-brand that would not harm the mother brand, but they would know na it came from that. There's another Japanese shoe brand, they did the same na okay, yung isa upscale, yung isa mass market. Then when you check at their website, you would find out na it's from the same supplier, pero enable not to harm the premiumness of the other brand, gumawa sila ng another brand.
Okay.
In terms of messaging naman, you can switch it depending on the use case or depending on the value that it will give your particular target segments that you are trying to address. Kasi, for example, ang sabong panlaba ay iba ang messaging niyan sa mga housewives, iba ang messaging niyan sa mga millennials na working in the condominiums, or probably you're offering a different product, powder sa mga nanay, pagdating sa millennials, pods. Yan. Diba sa Gen Z, wala silang pakialam dyan.
So Brian, what you're saying now is you have to go back and revisit talaga your brand or your company vis-a-vis your target market.
Yes, and you communicate your message on the right platform and on the right way of doing it. Yung iba, ang kailangan, information, credibility. Yung mga younger generations, entertainment and relatability.
Please note, Brian, that the show Open for Business is watched by MSMEs and CEOs of small businesses. Maybe a message for them, and of course, the various segments. How will they also play and adapt to the system in the workforce to be able to contribute to the growth of MSMEs?
Alright. In general, I would like everyone to be observant of the changes. You have to be keen in terms of understanding whoever you are talking to in terms of marketing. And for the younger generations, we always have to respect the maturity and the experience brought to us by our predecessors and use that as springboard in able to address or change kung may i-change man or improve yung existing processes and systems natin. And in terms of the older generations, a little bit patience in terms of us, and medyo changing na rin kasi yung environment natin. We have to understand that we are now talking to a different generation, and the present technology that they have right now is different from what we used to. And there are more efficient ways now to do things. And I hope you would always adopt, because every day, every time there's a new technology that is out, we just have to be very observant. In the end of the day, I always tell this to all marketers out there, it's not about you, it's not about what you want. It's about your target market's wants, it's about what the value that it would give to them. So I think that's my message to all our viewers. Thank you.
And should they ask for more, where can they find you, Brian?
I am always present in the Philippine Marketing Association events, or you could reach me in LinkedIn. It's my name. Also in my Facebook, there's a blue check kasi baka may mga scours, no? So you could reach me through those platforms anytime for more questions.
Is the Philippines becoming the leader in brain and spine surgery training in Southeast Asia? What does that mean for access to advanced healthcare locally? Recently, a groundbreaking partnership that promised to change the landscape of healthcare in the Philippines was launched. A leading hospital institution in the country, in collaboration with Medtronic and with the support of the Department of Health, inaugurated the Brain and Spine Clinical Cadaveric Training Center, a first-of-its-kind facility designed to elevate surgical excellence in the country. This new facility promises to better train doctors, perform safer surgeries, and faster patient recoveries. Is this our hope that world-class treatment is no longer out of reach? We'll find out how this investment in medical education translates into life-changing benefits of every Filipino.
As we conclude this historic milestone, we end with our hearts full of pride and minds inspired by possibilities. The inauguration of the Brain and Spine Clinical Cadaveric Training Center is far more than the unveiling of a new facility or a conclusion of a ceremony. It represents the unveiling of new horizons. Horizons where knowledge is shared, skills are honed, and patient outcomes are elevated to the highest standard. Today is a defining moment, not only for our institution, the Cardinal Santos Medical Center community, but for our country, as this training hub is the first of its kind in the Philippines and the entire Southeast Asian region.
Reflecting on a 75-year journey as a company, it's clear that the success of the company comes from meeting patient needs while constantly adapting and innovating in a changing world. And as we look at the future, it's clear that we're facing another profound moment in healthcare, especially here in Asia. We are also in the area of significant challenges. We see costs continue to rise in healthcare, driven by an aging population, as well as the rise of chronic diseases, non-communicable diseases, such as cardiovascular diseases, cancer, respiratory diseases, and diabetes. We also see unprecedented staffing shortages. And a study published by Lancet, they indicate that by 2030, they estimate a shortage of healthcare professionals of around 10 million around the world. And this is caused by factors like migration, burnout, inadequate training, with disproportionate impacts in markets like Philippines. But also consumer expectations are also changing. And from both patients as well as providers, patients are expecting more from their care, and providers are looking for solutions that make their work easier and more efficient. But despite these challenges, we have an incredible opportunity together to transform the way healthcare is being delivered. We are in the golden age of technology, where ideas become reality in months and sometimes in weeks, instead of years and decades. And every day we're making transformative discoveries of the human body. And we're also witnessing more collaboration and novel partnerships like today than ever before. Public, private, cross-industry, and even with competitors.
It's amazing what we have done today, and this is the first of its kind in the country. So what do you feel now? How awesome is this undertaking?
We're both proud that we actually were able to achieve this. I'm proud because this is really has far-reaching implications in terms of the training of our healthcare professionals in the country. And of course, there is also that notion that this is a big responsibility that we will have to carry not only for our country but for the region. So what we do in this center is really to to train people in surgical techniques with the use of cadavers. So it's a very training facility. This is not really the first time we've done these courses. We've been doing this for more than a decade. But what we have now is a formal partnership with Medtronic, and Ms. Linda Su, who's the director of training and education of Medtronic for Southeast Asia, was very instrumental in forging this alliance. So what we have now is a formal agreement with them. So what does this do? We are now given the equipment that are housed here in our center, and so we make use of expert faculty, neurosurgeons and orthopedic spine surgeons, both locally and regionally, and with this faculty we teach. We teach surgeons from across the region and the Philippines. So we are now the hub. People will now have to go to our center because it's the only center of its kind in Southeast Asia and even Asia. The relevance here is the fact that there is a partnership. And this partnership allows us to have access to those medical equipment. Medtronic, being a global leader in medical equipment, now has provided us with state-of-the-art facilities for cranial, meaning brain, and spine surgeries. These instruments and machines are actually housed here in Cardinal Santos. So who are welcome here? Everybody is welcome here. This is a collaborative training facility wherein people from other institutions in this country can actually join us in teaching, in sharing what we know. And who has access? Well, people from all over the country, neurosurgeons, orthopedic spine surgeons, even nurses are actually given the opportunity to join this. And of course, part of our participants would be regional participants mostly from the ASEAN countries. Aside from training and education, part of it is we are hoping that we can actually develop research from our endeavors here and publish this for the whole world to see.
On your way to success? Start with the best. New Era University, where we guide every individual to their natural state of excellence. Enroll now, because New Era University awaits the future we can build together.
And our buzzword of the week is user-generated content, or UGC. It's the original brand-specific content created by social media users and published on social media or other channels. From the rise of the multifaceted entrepreneur to mastering generational marketing and workplace communication, Sy Bryan Lato reminds us that business success today isn't just about having a great product or service. It's about understanding people or your target market, whether they're employees, partners, or customers. Knowing how different generations think, spend, and work opens the door to innovation, collaboration, and lasting growth. It's a reminder that bridging generations isn't just good leadership, it's good business. And with that, our quote of the week is, marketing is no longer about the stuff that you make, but about the stories you tell. That's from one of my favorite authors, Seth Godin. Maraming salamat sa isang oras na pagsama sa amin, Brian. Maraming salamat sa iyo. Maraming salamat sa mga manonood sa pagsama sa amin upang tunghayan ng isang makabuluhang usapan ukol sa negosyo dito lang sa Open for Business. Hanggang sa susunod na linggo, samahan nyo kaming muli dito sa Open for Business. Catch us on Facebook and YouTube. Like and subscribe on our social media page at Net25TV. We will bring you more insights from industry experts, thought leaders, CEOs, and featured SMEs. Together, let us help encourage business development in the Philippines. Sharpen your business acumen, feel the pulse, and set the trend for as long as you are informed and open for business. Ito po si 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. Marami pong salamat.